nightlife, what they call Atlanta. Southside shows for a couple dollars, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. It is the gearing up for the second weekend of March Madness. It is Maloney's Money Line, the March Madness Show, Sweet 16 edition. Technically, week 27 of Maloney's Money Line, our sometimes weekly gambling segment we do on the podcast. Thank you all so much for being here. If you haven't already, please go like, rate, comment, review, subscribe. We are on any podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff, or www.thebrewparty.com. Just dropped our brand new episode with Alex Rue, digital media producer from the Big Ten Network. The audio version today, the video is also out now on our YouTube. Go to youtube.com/thebrewparty. Make sure you follow us on Facebook at The Brew Party Podcast. Check us out on Twitter and Instagram as well at The Brew Party. So it's Maloney's Moneyline March Madness Show. I'm joined by the most attractive gambler on the planet, looking good in that Nike hat, buddy. You look like you go play a round of 18. It's Ryan Maloney, joins the show. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Yeah. I had somewhat of a good week last weekend. So, ready to give out some winners.
Yeah, he had somewhat of a good week. I did not have somewhat of a good week last week, at least with my public picks. I definitely picked it up after the first round, my first round debacle. So we'll get to that. So let's go. So it is the Sweet 16. Let's talk about the Sweet 16 real quick. Just the field. I guess we can go through it. So the first game, Gonzaga and Creighton. We have USC and Oregon, an all Pac-12 matchup. We have Michigan and Florida State. We have UCLA and Alabama, Syracuse, Houston, Loyola Chicago, Oregon State, Arkansas, Oral Roberts. Let's go Oral. And Baylor and Villanova. Ryan, out of those teams, which is the most surprising to you? I guess the obvious answer is Oral Roberts, but is there any other team that kind of sticks out?
Obviously Oral Roberts. Didn't expect them to make it to the Sweet 16, but Oregon State is kind of a shocker. Not a huge shocker, but, we always get one or two 12 seeds upsetting the 5 seed round one. There's just also a ton of Pac-12 teams. Didn't really expect that conference to do as good as they are right now. So,
yeah, absolutely, man. So who do you think there's still a clear front runner in this tournament? I mean, I know you picked Gonzaga to win it all. Do you think they still have a firm hold on that?
Yeah, I think it got a lot easier last weekend, having Illinois lose. Sorry about that, but I think that was probably going to be their biggest competitor in the championship. But, they'll have some good matchups on their way, but I think they're pretty much my clear winner right now. I know Bama's pretty solid, Baylor as well, and even Houston could give them a good game. So we'll see. Oklahoma State played them about as good as you could and still lost by, I think, 15. So,
yeah, absolutely. And so there is still the potential of the Baylor and Gonzaga matchup. We could still get a Michigan versus Gonzaga matchup in the Final Four. So a lot of still very good games left on the table. Loyola Chicago did knock off my Fighting Illini. I talked a lot of shit about Illinois, about how they were going deep, and they just got punched in the mouth. It just did not work out. Loyola wins. They move on. They're going to play Oregon State, who's like the hottest team in the country right now. But Loyola Chicago's they play a very different brand of basketball. They're going to get in your face defensively, and they're just going to play hard. They're going to run their offense through the big man, Cameron Krutwig, and they're just going to go to work. They're going to keep the score low. They only allow like 55 points a game, which is like nuts. You just don't see that all the time in basketball. But I think they have a pretty easy path to get back to the Final Four. And I mean, nothing's easy in the NCAA tournament, but I think they have a favorable path to get back to the Final Four, just like they did 4 years ago. For me, yeah, like we said, Oral Roberts, you can't not talk about Oral during this game, or this tournament. Max Asmus and Kevin O'Banner leading this team to glory. They have played Arkansas once this year. I think they lost by 11 the first time. The spread is 11.5 now. I think Oral Roberts is just going to have to just score. They're going to want to. Arkansas is going to want this to be a track meet. They like to play fast, so I'll be curious to see how this goes and if the Golden Eagles can keep up. If not, I mean, hats off to them. They've been the story of the tournament. Only the second 15 seed ever to make it to the Sweet 16. Shout out to the Florida Gulf Coast Dunk City team back, I think it was 2013. So let's go to, actually, we have a comment. Big Fudge Daddy. Thank you, John. That is my name on Xbox. I am Big Fudge Daddy. So first weekend reactions, we kind of did that. So Ryan, tell me a little bit about your setup. What does it look like when you are taking in March Madness? Are you like a multiple TV guy? You just got the one flipping back and forth? Or what does it look like? Give us a peek into Ryan Maloney's March Madness first weekend.
Yeah, I mean, there's my setup back there. This is backwards, so it's hard to point. But yeah, I mean, I'll have that switching back and forth and then on the computer. But yeah, I mean, 2 of the days I was at work, so the setup there was small screen on my work computer, and then if anybody's walking by, quick minimize. Got to have a quick trigger finger while you're at work.
Yeah, that's funny. I only had to work one of the days, and I mean, obviously I'm a server bartender, so there were TVs everywhere. I was still watching the games, but yeah, as far as I go, I only have the one TV. I can't really flip my camera around to show it, but then I had my laptop and Kaylin's laptop, so I was rocking 3 games at once. It was pretty awesome. It was in my element for 12 hours, 2 days in a row. Pretty incredible. There's nothing like it in sports. I think it's the best weekend of the year for sure. So we'll talk about our records. We can go over our picks from last week as much as I don't want to. So I went 2-10, just awful. But I mean, what's new? It's just like I'm on Maloney's money line. I'm 2-17 picking college basketball this year. It's just like, that's impressive. That is impressive. Just how comically bad I have been. So don't listen to anything I say on this show at all. So my picks last week, let's just go through them real quick. Drake -1.5, Michigan State -2, Virginia Tech money line, Arkansas Colgate over 61.5, Texas Tech -4. Actually, yeah, Rutgers -1.5. I think they won by 2, right? I think that one hit. Bonnie's money line, Oak State. Liberty over 139.5, UNC -1.5, OSU. I don't even want to just talk about any more of this fucking stink. But this week, let's hope it's better. But I do not blame you. I'm telling everybody straight up, just fade me. Who knows what I'm doing here? So Ryan was 6-5-1. He actually had one game that was voided. You had Oregon -5.5. That game didn't get played because VCU had their COVID protocols and had to leave. So that does suck. But Oregon comes back in the second round and they just beat the shit out of Iowa, 95-80, which was an awesome game. The Ducks are one of the teams that I do have a soft spot for. I like to root for. So let's go Ducks, 7 seed out of the Pac-12. They're going to have a matchup here. God, who are they playing? It's USC. It's a Pac-12 matchup in the Sweet 16. So that's going to be very interesting. If we go through Ryan's picks real quick from last week, you had Wichita State +1.5, which they barely covered. They lost by 1. Michigan State -2, which was a loser. Arkansas -9.5, which they came back and covered. Georgetown +4.5, which was terrible. We should have never been on them. Baylor -26, which was really close. I think they won by 24. Oregon State +8 was a great pick. They just beat the shit out of Tennessee. Rutgers, Clemson over 125.5, just went barely under. Villanova -6.5, they won by 10. LSU and St. Bonaventure under, that stayed under. Bama -17, that didn't hit. They won by 13, I think. GCU +14.5, they lost by 14. Hell of a cover there. And then, like we said, Oregon -5.5, but that one was a no contest or push, whatever. Doesn't really count. So those are the records from last week. So let's take a look at some of the gambling trends from the first round, because I think they were pretty interesting. We were talking about it, just texting back and forth in our group on Discord. Just like, no more totals. We just can't touch them anymore. At least in the first round, it seemed like every single under was hitting. And here, I actually have it right here. So through the first round, the total over under 23 games went under the scoring total. 14 games went over. There was one push, which was the Oregon VCU game that, technically didn't count. As far as like the spread goes, the underdogs were 16-14 in the first round against the spread. Moneyline favorites were 18-9. And like I said, the under was 19-11 in the first round. Through the first 38 games, underdogs were still killing it. They were 21-16 against the spread. Moneyline favorites were still 21-13 outright. The under still stayed 23 of the games went under, 14 of the games were over. That's through the first 38 games. And then through the first 47 games, so the total first weekend, the first two rounds, favorites and underdogs were an even 23-23 against the spreads. The favorites were 23-15 outright. So if you were to bet on the money line, and then the total over under 26 games went under, 20 games went over. So there's some interesting trends there, Ryan. Based on that, does that change any of your thinking for your picks for the next round? Or, I mean, you were watching all the games, you knew about the totals. Are you surprised to see how many more games went under than over when you really look at the numbers?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, when you're watching, especially the first weekend of March Madness, you're hoping for high scoring games and big upsets. So yeah, I mean, I tend to stay away from totals. They're just so difficult to get. I picked a few last weekend, staying away from this weekend. Cause I just don't know. I mean, who knows, maybe every game's going to go over this weekend, but yeah, I'm going to stay away. I tried to pick a few underdogs cause they have been doing somewhat better. So yeah, I mean, I like my picks this week. I'm pretty confident in them.
Ryan loves the board this week, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I think I don't know if you attribute the lot of covers by the underdogs to maybe the larger spreads in the first round, just because it's the disparity in the matchups there, like, the 3 versus whatever, or the 1 versus 16 and all that good shit. And then as it goes on, you'd like to think the spreads would get closer because they're better teams playing each other. So that'll be very interesting. So I know this week we each have 7 picks. There are 8 games, but since we're in Illinois, we can't bet on Loyola, which I do think they will cover the 6.5. I like them to beat Oregon State. Do you have any thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Loyola is probably going to win that region now. I think they're pretty underrated, as we saw. I mean, I know you don't want to talk about it too much, but they come out and beat one of the championship favorites pretty convincingly too.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I like them to win that region and go back to the Final Four this year. So, but yeah, I think they'll probably be able to cover that against Oregon State.
Yeah.
Just talk like a robot there.
against Oregon State. Take the Ramblers. All hail, Sister Jean. Dude, she's just got some juju. Like, we're playing against a team whose mascot is basically a nun on a Sunday. Like, who scheduled that? Like, on a Sunday morning, 11 o'clock, you should be at 11 o'clock mass. Like, what are we doing here? But no, credit Loyola. They were great. They just beat Illinois. Illinois didn't look right. They couldn't make a shot. Like, they were just, I would assume who said it after the game. He said, we couldn't throw a penny in the ocean. And it showed. Like, Loyola's defense was awesome. Porter Moser is a really good head coach. Don't be surprised if he goes and takes a bigger job after this run is over. I think a lot of schools will come calling. Like, look at a job like Indiana, or maybe a job like Texas that just opened up today. Shaka Smart going to Marquette, did not see that coming, but he is now out in Austin, so maybe they give him a call. Who knows? But Porter Moser doing an excellent job with this program at Loyola, turning them into a perennial powerhouse out of the Missouri Valley. But yeah, so if they win against Oregon State, they're going to play either Houston or who does Houston play?
1 second. Syracuse. So probably
Houston. So probably Houston. Well, you never know. That Syracuse magic. The Buddy Boeheim just passed to Buddy. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it definitely favors the Ramblers a little bit here. So let's do one more thing before we get into our picks for this week. We talked about the championship futures and what bets might have good value last week before the tournament started. So let's do an updated one. So we have Gonzaga still the favorite. It's down to plus 150. I still think there's some value there. Like, throw $100 on that, like what, for 250 for them to win 3 more games. Baylor plus 450, great value there too. Michigan plus 900, Houston plus 900. Those are two I'd honestly avoid. I don't see them winning at all. Alabama plus 1,000. I kind of love that if they can get hot. Loyola plus 1,400. I like that too. You also have Arkansas plus 1,600, Florida State plus 2,000. If I look at some other names here that didn't make it onto the graphic, Creighton is at plus 2,500, USC plus 2,500, Oregon plus 3,000, Syracuse plus 3,000, Villanova plus 3,000, UCLA plus 5,000, Oregon State plus 5,000, and my Oral Roberts Golden Eagles at plus 10,000 to win. I'm putting it all on the Oral Roberts Golden Eagles to win. I'm just kidding. But those are your championship futures. Any other teams besides Gonzaga that you would possibly throw a couple dollars down on there, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I really like Baylor at plus 450. I think that's really good value for another number 1 seed. I don't really like Michigan plus 900. I could honestly see them losing this week against Florida State. But yeah, also like you said, like if Bama can get hot, that's extremely good value. We know in the tournament, if you get hot, then you're on a roll. So yeah, I mean, obviously Gonzaga, the huge favorite right now. But I could definitely see Baylor beating them and taking the championship at plus 450.
Absolutely. So one more thing, actually, before we get into our picks, what team is most likely to be upset in this round of 16?
I mean, like I just mentioned, Michigan. I'm not too convinced on them. I mean, I haven't watched them all year, but I don't know. I could definitely see Florida State beating them this weekend. I don't think. I think this unfortunately this week might be the end of Oral Roberts' journey.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But yeah, I mean, definitely look out for Syracuse as well. Like you said, Buddy Boeheim, and they're on a run right now. So yeah,
Buddy. Well, that would just be classic fucking college basketball if Jim Boeheim and a Syracuse team that's just been written off all year just make it to the Final Four. But yeah, like it's that thing on Twitter you see. It's the flow chart for Syracuse offense. Is the one box is your name Buddy Boeheim? Or it's like should I shoot? Is your name Buddy Boeheim? no, then pass, yes, then shoot. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I'd love to see a double-digit seed make it into the Final Four this year. Or like I said, I mean, Loyola as an 8 would be another cool story. Even though they just had it 4 years ago, I mean, it could have been Illinois' turn, but whatever. It's rigged anyways. It's this Mickey Mouse tournament. It's March, doesn't really count. COVID year. So, all right, Ryan, let's get into the picks. So you're gonna go first, as always. So it's the first game. It's Baylor versus Villanova. We're gonna be actually head to head on this one.
All right, yeah, I like it. Another head-to-head to start the picks. I'm going to go Nova plus 7.5 versus Baylor, minus 106. I mean, I think I mentioned it last week. I think, Nova, I like them. They're a tournament team. And I think 7.5 points, even against a team that I just said is, a good pick for the champions. But, in a Sweet 16 round, 7.5 points is a lot, especially for Nova. So I'm going to take that pick.
Yeah. So I think it could go either way. Obviously, you say that with every fucking pick. But what's interesting to me is, so you have this at minus 106. The line currently for Villanova plus 7.5 is at minus 113 or minus 114. So it's like the money is really moving on this game. I have Baylor minus 7.5 at minus 107. I just really like Baylor. Villanova without their point guard it's going to have to hurt them at some point, especially against a team as talented defensively as Baylor is. So I think the experience of Jared Butler, Maceo Teague, and Davion Mitchell are really just going to be too much for Villanova. But I mean, credit Villanova. Jeremiah Robinson Earl, it has been incredible. And I did not think the Wildcats would be in the Sweet 16. Just what everything they've had to go through at just really the end of the season. So the first game is going to be a head-to-head matchup. Villanova plus 7.5 at minus 106 for Ryan. Like I mentioned, that line has moved. It's like all the money line or the juice on the spread, I believe, is up to minus 113. And then I am on Baylor minus 7.5. I'm going with the 1 seed. Ryan's going with the upset. Well, not the upset, but the underdogs to cover. Like we said, through the first 2 rounds, favorites and underdogs against the spread are an even 23-23. All right, let's move on to the next game. Ryan, you are up once again.
All right, I'm going to go Arkansas minus 11.5 versus Oral Roberts minus 110. Like I mentioned, I think this is definitely the end of Oral Roberts' journey in this tournament. But who knows? March is crazy. Anything can happen. I know 11.5 is a lot of points, but yeah, I mean, like you mentioned earlier, Arkansas likes to play fast. Could potentially watch out for the over in that game. I think it'll be a good game, but I think Arkansas covers.
Absolutely. So it's interesting. So the line's at 11.5, and I believe Arkansas won by 11 in the first matchup. And, credit Arkansas for what they were able to do and holding off Texas Tech. Really, Texas Tech probably should have had that game. Couple missed shots. Not easy ones, but, nothing's easy in the NCAA tournament. But some give-me's, some bunnies, missed free throw, missed layup. That cost Texas Tech the game, but that's what March is all about. It's survive and advance. Arkansas minus 11.5 versus Oral Roberts. Just checked in, but I crushed beers with the ORU staff, so they're Final Four for sure. Grant, thank you for checking in. Yeah, I'm all in on the Golden Eagles Final Four train. So I didn't go against you on this. I did something a little different and something that has worked out for me through the first weekend. Oral Roberts first half over 34.5 minus 110. Actually, shout out to Grant Baker, the one who gave me that tip in the first round, and I'm going to ride it again. They've scored at least 35 points, I believe, in each of the first 2 games in the first half. On that, I think the under is the juice is up to like minus 120, so more of the money is on the under. I'm fading the public on this one. Feel free to fade me, like I said, because I suck. But Oral Roberts' first half team total over 34.5. That is my second pick. Ryan is on Arkansas minus 11.5 versus Oral Roberts. I don't know what I'm going to do if I'm going to avoid any side here, but I don't know. I think it's going to be a fun game. Obviously, like I said, I'm going to be rooting for Oral Roberts. I think it goes one of two ways. I think it gets ugly quick, or it's going to be like a really tight game. You know what I mean? Let's move on to your next pick.
All right, I'm going with Buddy and the Qs at plus 6.5 versus Houston minus 110 odds. I just think, Syracuse is hot right now. It could also be pretty bad, and Houston could win by 20. But I kind of like the Qs plus 6.5 for this game.
Yeah, I do too. It's going to be weird. How does Houston adjust to the 2-3 zone? Have they seen anything like that in the American Conference this year? And it's hard, especially with a limited time. I guess you make the argument they have had most of the week to really prepare. But in the tournament, it's all about, it's a game of runs. Who gets hot? If you get hot at the right time, it works. And I mean, just feed Buddy, like we said. I'm actually with you on this one. I'm going Syracuse plus 6.5. I tried to bet against Syracuse in the first round, and it didn't go well. So I'm riding with the Orangemen in this matchup. So let's move on to the next game. That is the Zags and the Creighton Blue Jays, who Creighton should have been out in the first round. I mean, UCSB, I had them. Another one that just the ball did not fall the Gauchos' way. So let's get your pick for this game.
All right, I'm going to go Gonzaga minus 13 at minus 116. I just don't feel comfortable picking against Gonzaga in this tournament, probably until the Final Four. But I know 13 is a lot of points, but like you said, Creighton probably should have lost round one. So I think Gonzaga can definitely win this game by 14, probably 20, but who knows?
Yeah, they kept pulling away from Oklahoma, and then Oklahoma was so close to covering. Gonzaga ends up covering last round. Like I said, that you don't usually see the spreads get up this high in these Sweet 16 games, but when you have a team like Gonzaga that's going for an undefeated national championship season, that's going to happen. They are a special team. I hope your family doesn't get upset with you that you're picking against the Blue Jays, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. They'll deal with it.
Whatever. So this is another game where I avoided the spread so I could have something that was different from your pick. I'm going Gonzaga team total for the game over 85.5. That's minus 120 odds there. I think it's not good value because you look at the juice, but I mean, they average like 93 points a game. Yeah. Like they're going to get theirs. They're going to score points. I think this one, I'm not going to say it's a lock. Nothing's a lock, but I like this pick a lot. So that probably means you guys should fade it. Gonzaga over 85.5 at minus 120. So let's move on. We have a few picks left here, Ryan. This next one is going to be another head-to-head matchup for us.
Yeah, I'm going to go Michigan minus 2.5. I don't really like picking Michigan. But yeah, I mean, it should be a good game, but I just felt more comfortable picking Michigan, the 1 seed versus Florida State here. Don't really know much about Florida State. But yeah, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, who knows? Florida State could win outright and send Michigan home. So we'll see. It'll probably be one of the better games of the weekend.
Yeah, I think it will be good. Michigan, they impressed me in the second round. The secondary guys on their team that really stepped up. You talk about Chaundi Brown Jr. scoring a season high. I think it was 21 points. Then Eli Brooks was automatic from behind the 3-point line. And then you're going to have to get a good game out of Franz Wagner. Is Hunter Dickinson going to stay out of foul trouble? But, I mean, this is going to be an interesting matchup for the Wolverines. You talk about the length that FSU has. Leonard Hamilton knows the kind of guy he wants to recruit. It's athletes that are 6'6", 6'8". They can handle the ball and play multiple positions. I think this is a very dangerous matchup for Michigan. I'm taking Florida State plus 2.5. Might even sprinkle a little bit on the money line as well. But I like the Noles here, and I'm supposed to be a Big Ten guy, but fuck Michigan. To be honest, like I am just, especially after all this shit this year and that fraud regular season Big Ten title. But yeah, I'm going with the Florida. I'm going with the Noles. Oh, let's move on to the next game. What do you got?
All right, I got USC -2 versus Oregon at -106. Yeah, I mean, I just think USC is kind of on a run right now. And I actually have the stat: Andy Enfield coach teams are 9-0 against the spread in the tournament. Florida Gulf Coast was 3-0, USC 6-0. So take that as you will. Could be their first loss against the spread, but I like them to win by 3 in this game.
Hey, look at Ryan pulling out the stats. Yeah, Andy Enfield has been a great coach. And then you talk about what the Mobley brothers have been able to do for USC, and then Edey as well might be their second best offensive player behind Evan Mobley. So it's going to be really tough for Oregon to guard USC's length, just because, Oregon, they have size, but I mean, in their starting lineup, I mean, Cliff Omoruyi usually plays the 5 and he's 6'6". So, or not Cliff, it's Eugene Omoruyi, excuse me. And he's 6'6", but I mean, you get Duarte going, you get Washington going, like Oregon is going to be scary, especially this interconference matchup in the tournament. I love it. This is another game I'm going against you, my guy. Ducks, quack, quack, baby. +2 versus USC. Another one. I think I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on the money line there. I don't know. I just don't want to go against Oregon here, but I definitely do not hate the USC pick. This is more of just a homer pick. Like, I like the Ducks. But I can see USC winning this game. They're hot at the right time. They absolutely destroyed Kansas. That was like, holy shit. Did you see the tweet that their Twitter account put out? At Seth Davis?
No.
Because Seth Davis picked against them the first 2 games, I think, in the tournament.
Yeah.
Either the first 2 or their second round game. And he picked them in the Sweet 16, but for the tournament, he's like 20-31. Like, just straight up. So like, hey, can you didn't want to pick us against Kansas, and they're like, you're 21-31 for the tournament. You mind changing your pick real quick? So they got Twitter fingers as well. So this is going to be a fun matchup. I'm taking the Ducks. Ryan's on the Trojans. Let's move on. Our last pick is going to be one we can agree on, actually.
Yeah, I'm going to go Bama -6.5 versus UCLA. -110 odds. I just, I kind of want Bama to do good. They're in my Final Four. So I think this is the perfect time to get hot against, average, slightly above average UCLA team. But yeah, I think they could definitely win this game by 7. Hoping that they just blow them out and go on to the Elite 8. So we'll see. It's good game though. Dude,
if they get hot from 3 like they did in that last game, like, see you later. Because Alabama was impressive, very impressive in their second round matchup. The guys in the Discord were in. They were like, "This is fun." It was one of those games that I wished Illinois had in the second round, but it's okay. Good for them. I guess Bama can just be good at football and basketball now, and just whatever. But yeah, I'm also taking Bama -6.5. I just think they're better than UCLA. Credit UCLA, Mick Cronin, what they've been able to do this year. They're going from the first 4 to the Sweet 16. Seems like we always get one of those teams every year that just makes those run. I mean, they've been hot. What Jaime Jaquez has been able to do, the freshman, has been really impressive. I love Tiger Campbell. He's a kid out of Chicago, plays point guard for them. And who knows what's going to happen? It's March. The Bruins might be able to pull it off, but I'm putting my money on Bama -6.5. I think they can take care of business. I think they get a 10-point victory here. But I was 2-10 last week, so what the fuck do I know, Ryan? Any closing thoughts for this week? Any games that you're looking forward to more than others?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of good games this weekend. Oregon USC is probably the one that I'm looking forward to the most, Pac-12 matchup. But yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to tomorrow, looking forward to Sunday, and just enjoying these games and hopefully getting some winners.
Getting some wieners. So let's actually real quick, I want to do a live check of who is in first place for the Brew Party Challenge. I think it's Tyler Bird, but I want to double check and see how that's going. I know I'm not going to fucking win.
I'm in second.
Ryan, second place. You're just good at everything you do, huh?
I have way more MAC potential points than Tyler Bird, who's in first, because he has U of I as his champion.
Just rubbing salt in the wound, aren't you, Ryan? Okay.
But I mean, if Baylor wins at all, Lucas could take it. He's got 1,500 potential points.
So Tyler Bird, sole possession of first place currently with 240 points, but he only has a max of 840. Ryan's in second, max of 1470. My guy Tom Scavetta from Review and Preview Sports is tied for second with Ryan as well. Tim Weaver's up there. Lucas Wilson is up there as well. Tight spot, the guy that called me Big Fudge Daddy earlier, is tied up there. Nick Beatty, Biz80, guest of the show. Gravy Train, Ben Nettleton, tied for 10th. But yeah, so a lot of our bracket picked Illinois. I'm currently tied for 18th. I'm like 6 picks behind. No, four picks behind the leaders. But yeah, thank you so much to everybody that joined the Brew Party Challenge. This year is the winner take all, and I believe so. We have 36 entrants, so the winner is going to take home $360. Absolutely crazy. I did not think we were going to get up to that many people, but I'm so excited. Hopefully next year we get even more. Next year I'm going to change up the prize format, so it's good. Definitely the winner is going to be taking home the majority of the money, but second place is going to get a little bit of a prize. Third place will probably get something as well. So this has been Maloney's Money Line, week 27. It's March Madness. We're balling like March Madness, to quote the GOAT, Future. It's the Sweet 16 second weekend. Let's hope for my mental health that my picks go better this week. So 2-10 last week. Ryan was 6-5-1. I'm just on like one of the coldest streaks on this show. Like when I don't publicize my picks, they're fine for the most part. But as soon as I pick them out, you're sure? Okay, fuck you, Ryan. I'll show you my statement on after this. God damn it. This show's over. Maloney's Money Line. Ryan, so good to see your face and hear your voice. As always, hopefully it won't be virtually soon. Hopefully we can meet face-to-face in person sometime soon. Check out the Brew Party. New episode out now with Alex Rue. Episode number 55. Wherever you get your podcasts. Or if you like the video, it's on YouTube. It's on our Twitter. Or it's on our Facebook. Ryan, good luck this weekend. I know I'm going to need it. I guess go Zags. I'm going to go Ducks. Yeah. Wouldn't mind seeing the Ramblers go pretty far because then I could say, well, we lost to the national champion or something like that. Or let's go Oral. And just hope their team total gets up to 69 again at some point in this tournament. Because you have to bet on that.
Oh, you have to.
All right. March Madness. Happy March. This is March, in the words of John Rothstein. All right, we're out of here. Maloney's Moneyline, week 27. I'm moving next week, so I don't know what the schedule for the show is going to be. I'll figure it out in the next few days. And then NFL Draft. Don't forget about that. Me and Sam Cardona, the girl who talks sports, are going to be doing an NFL Draft show with live reactions. Ryan, I'll probably have you on at some point for that. We want to get a bunch of guests. As many guests from different teams as possible. All right. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in. We are out.